Good evening and welcome to the 30-day script writing bootcamp. This is Lagos Film School and I am Damola Adenle, the director and the script writing coach. Um, as a reminder, this is a 30-day bootcamp. It comprises of two sessions. Phase one is the 10 days of lectures, and phase two is the writing practice 21 days of writing assignments to hone your craft. This is lesson one of the 10 days of lectures. Our agreed upon lecture format is that lectures will be uploaded in advance, and then we will meet twice a week to discuss and for questions and answers. Um, the dates we ought to meet 17th and 19th of this week, 23rd and 26th of next week, right? So let's start proper. Now, before we even get into script writing and all of that, let's explore the world of film making. Now, every country of the world has its own film industry. Why are we bothered about this? Why is it our concern? Because we function in the film industry, okay? And we ought to have a basic working understanding of the industry we're in. We'll talk about film education a couple of minutes time, okay? But for now, let's even explore the film industry. Now, the three biggest film industries in the world are number one, Hollywood, which is the biggest film industry. Then you have Bollywood and almighty Nollywood. I just wonder why Nollywood is inside the bush. Now, Hollywood is the largest film industry by revenue. Okay, no other country comes close. In fact, it's safe to assume that the financial revenue of Hollywood is bigger than all the other industries in the world put together. Okay, next is Bollywood. Bollywood is largest by volume. Bollywood puts out the largest number of films every year, and they are followed closely by Nigeria, Nollywood, which is the second largest film industry by volume. But for all you know, Nollywood might have overtaken Bollywood because this statistics was from early like 2015, 2017, way back when we were still trading in DVDs and VCDs. Then it was easy to monitor how many films were shipped by marketers every month and every year. And that is what this statistics is based on. Subsequently, that people have moved on to YouTube. You have people releasing, I don't know, 10 films every month, some as much as 50 films in a year. So the number of films released in Nigeria now has skyrocketed above and beyond what they used to be. So by all measure, Nollywood might just have overtaken Bollywood. Why is this important? It shows us that there is room or space for you. The demand for consumption of content is ever growing. Therefore, the need for content creation is ever present. And then you might ask the question, content creation as how? Well, you are a content creator and you will do well to look at yourself as one. This will give you better handles, more handles to handle your craft. The moment you start thinking of yourself as a content creator, you would explore tools that content creators use, and that might increase your efficiency as a scriptwriter. Um, as an aside, what is content creation? Okay, it's developing and publishing valuable digital material, text, video, audio, images, all of that. And these are types of content when we talk about content creation. It could be books. This could be a printed hard copy book. It could be an ebook. It could be a blog, okay, where you have articles and all of that. It could be a newspaper or a magazine, a physical printed newspaper or an online newspaper or an online magazine. Sahara Reporters, for example, is an example of an online newspaper. They don't have any print version, but they are just as recognized as your everyday newspaper like Punch, Guardian, etc. Okay, other kinds of content include podcasts, webinars, and then you have skits, short films, and feature-length films. Because the question is, if a skit maker considers themselves as a content creator, how about somebody who makes a longer form of video? Because skit is like a short film, a comedy inclined short film. How about a feature length film? Is it not content? You get where I'm going with this? So if you start approaching your craft the same way a skit maker approaches their craft, it gives you more leverage, more handles, more ways to, better do what it is you're trying to do. Now, the four elements of content. We'll discuss this at a later date, but I just want to drop this here so that, because the essence of this first this first set of classes we're doing is for a reorientation. I need you to think a certain way to be able to function optimally and maximally. If you bring the same mind that created a problem to solve it, it might not get solved. If you think the same way you used to think as a scriptwriter and you're still rigid in that form, you might not really stand out so much. But the moment you have a rethink, a rejig of your mind, a reorientation, and you start seeing things a different way, your results would obviously be better. All right, so these are the four elements of content: purpose, audience, structure, and relevance. The moment you start thinking like a content creator and you apply this to the scripts you write, you will see that your scripts become more relevant and it will be easier for a producer to purchase. Again, we will talk about this at a later date when we talk about how to sell your scripts, who to sell your scripts to, etc. But I just want you to have this at the back of your mind. That first off, a content creator, and you must approach your craft the same way a content creator does. And these are the four elements of content creation. You must have a purpose for the content you're creating. Script writing, I will say, if you don't have a message, if you don't have a theme, if you don't have something to say, don't bother writing. Number two, audience. You must identify the target audience you're writing for. For example, a lot of Nigerian films are low IQ films. And I say that without any form of apology. Let me say it again. Most Nigerian films are low IQ films. Very, very low IQ films. So if you're somebody who wants to write like mind-boggling, mystery, thriller kind of stuff, calm down, calm down. This is not where you want to write it. Because the audience you're writing for don't really have, it's not as if they don't have the capacity to get it. They watch American films, yeah? However, when they sit down to watch a Nigerian film, they are not coming with the mindset of I want to crack any code. They are coming with the mindset of Nnamdi. Yeah. That's where most people are in their minds. Again, we'll talk about this at a later date. But the takeaway from here is understanding your audience and knowing how they think and how they would receive the material you're bringing would also help you to write it for that audience. Your job is to give the audience what they want. Your job is not to write what you love or what you want. Your job is to give to the audience what they want. Did you get that? All right. And then third on the list is structure. There's a structure, there's an approach to different forms of content. You need to understand and identify the specific structure for films, for different genres of films, for the specific genre and type and audience of film that you are writing for. And lastly, relevance. Your content must be relevant to your audience. I'll move away from the elements of content and I'll move on to it. Well, I hope you've gotten a general, picture of where I'm taking you to, that you must think like a content creator and apply these four elements of content creation to your craft. Okay, that brings us to film education. What is film education? Now, filmmaking is a team sport, just like football. The same way football has defenders, midfielders, keeper, attackers, wingers, and all of that. Same way in film, there's a producer, there's a director, there's a writer, there's a video editor, there's a cinematographer. There are different people who bring different things to the table. yeah, to achieve and realize the goal and the vision of the film. Now, the small problem we have in Nigeria, big problem actually, is that most people don't understand beyond their own sphere of influence or activity. And most at times, you have a cinematographer who only understands how to handle the camera, does not understand how a scriptwriter thinks, does not know what the video editor expects. So he just goes there with his camera and shoots nonsense, quote and unquote. He thinks he has shot what is best. However, this material he has shot is not the most, what's the word I'm looking for the editor. The editor would have preferred it shot a different way. If only the cinematographer, in this case, understands a bit of video editing, he would do more, do better, deliver something closer to what the video editor expects. Same with all the other crafts of filmmaking. So, because we know only what we know about our craft, there is little handshake between the different departments that goes into making a film, and it shows. It shows in our output. It shows in our results. Okay, so one of the approaches, one of the major things we do in Lagos Film School is give us film education, which is walk you through the process of making a film so that you have a basic understanding, in fact, a thorough understanding of how film works, such that you see how you fit into the big picture. Either you're shooting, editing, writing, directing, you have a better understanding of where your own craft fits in the big picture. That way, you know what is expected of you and how to hand over to the next person in the chain of execution. Okay, so I just explained why it is important. And just to stress it a little more, let me tell us about what I call the triple rewrite principle. It's a generally accepted and generally known thing in filmmaking circles. However, Damola Dele me crafted this term to describe this concept. And what is the concept? The concept of the triple rewrite principle. Okay, it says the film is not written once, it is written 3 times. Okay, the story is written the first time by the writer, the script writer, the second time is by the director, and the third time by the editor. You might wonder, like, right in what sense? Just follow me. Okay, so we have same story for 3 authors. Where's my hand? 3. Okay, let's talk about the first time we do the writing. This is done by you, the script writer. Okay, the writer creates intention. I want you to keep that at the back of your mind. Everything we do as script writers is to create intention. Our job is not to do the final film. Our job is whatever your output is, your final result, your final output as a scriptwriter is still just the raw material that will be used to make film. It is not the final film. So what you have created is the intention of the film, which would still have to go through processes and rewrites, quote and unquote, rewrites, quote unquote, before we get to the final material. So the writer creates the story, character, the structure. It creates meaning on paper. That is the job of the writer. Your script is a blueprint to make the film, not the film itself. Next off is the director. Okay, remember, this is the triple rewrite principle. The first time a film is written or rewritten is when the writer puts pen to paper. The second time is when the director starts the directing process. The director creates interpretation. Note, at the first I said the writer creates what? Intention. The director creates interpretation. Let's go to the video editor. I'll come back to the director. And the video editor creates what? The experience. And these are the 3 components to making a film. The intention, the interpretation of that intention, that's what the director does, and the experience. The video editor is the one that gives the experience to the audience. The audience do not experience your script. Your script is just an intention. The audience might perceive the interpretation of the director. However, it is still subject to the experience that the editor gives to them. And these three individuals, I call them the three sides to a coin, although I understand that a coin has two sides, but I hope you get the analogy. Okay? But these are the three sides to the same coin. These three individuals do the same thing. The scriptwriter, the film director, and the video editor. The director in, works with the casting, the performance of the actors. He directs the camera and the camera movements, which the editor goes on to work on, and he determines what we see, what we don't see, what we hear, what we don't hear, the timing, the reading. This is where meaning is locked. And that is what I call the three rewrite principle. What we do, the script, is the first draft of the film. It is incomplete on purpose. Now, if a story fails, meaning if you watch a film and it doesn't land, it doesn't stick, you don't really feel it. The film didn't fail once, it failed at one of the rewrites, whether at the writing stage, the directing stage, or the video editing stage. If all three levels are locked down, you have a beautiful film. Okay, a good script reads well, a great script shoots well and edits well. So as a writer, what is our key job? It is to write scenes that can survive being shot, being performed, and being cut. Let me summarize that. Actors will take your script and perform it. They will give their own spin and their own interpretation to what you have written. The better your writing, the more likely it is that the actors would perform just as good or almost exactly what you had in your head when you were writing it, without you being on set to tell them what to do. If your script is well written, the actors will most likely give the same performance that you had in mind, or at least something close. Same is the shooting. If your script is tight and it makes sense, most likely the director, through the cinematographer, will shoot something very close to what you had in mind. And lastly, the editor, when it is being cut, the editor would most likely assemble the film and give the audience roughly the same experience you had in mind when you were crafting the story. So the onus still falls on the scriptwriter to determine what the director does, what the video editor does, and the final experience that the audience will have. Welcome to Real Storytelling. This is the end of video 1. In the next video, I'll give us an introduction to what script is, script writing, and how we go about writing a script.